Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the News from the Pew. The news happens on the internet, and we talk about it. I am Rick Barrett, and I am glad, as always, to be joined by the man, the godfather of Catholic YouTube, the one and only Steve Cunningham of Census Fidelium Espanol, Census Fidelium Frances.
No, don't have to worry about that anymore.
Why? Why not?
Because the AI started with the dubbing. So starting yesterday or the day before, the entire YouTube channel of Census Fidelium eventually will. The last 2 days, they definitely are. If you click the little star thing and see settings, that thing will pop up and you'll see audio, English. You can toggle between 15 different languages right now. So Census Fidelium right now is, I'm in the experimental program for the dub. Yep. I asked to get on about 2 years ago. Finally got on. So
interesting.
Yeah, man. It's I don't need to upload on the other ones anymore. They're right there.
R.I.P. Espanol Census Fidelium, though. It was a good run while it happened. So
yeah. I love the AI. The Skynet's going to kill us, but hey,
it's fine. I mean, we'll talk about Google Flow and how they released a trailer yesterday. Actually, we're talking about it right now. Do I have it? Check this out, Steve. So they released this yesterday, and the big thing was that they you'll see when we actually see here. Check it out.
More silence.
Yes, we can talk.
We can talk.
We can talk.
We can talk with accents.
Oh, I think that would be marvelous.
Yes, it is very fun. But
yes, it is very good.
It's very fun.
I can talk.
Yes,
we can talk.
Yes,
we can talk.
We can talk.
We can talk.
Yes,
we can talk. No.
Yes.
We can talk as cartoons.
This is amazing.
Imagine all the narrative possibilities.
We can sing talk.
Let's talk.
So, what are we going to talk about now? What are we going to talk about now that we can talk?
I have no idea. What do you want to talk about?
What kind of
Now that I can talk.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have something to say.
We can talk about how magical this is.
I'm a hallucination.
I want to say something important, something deep. The future is still in our hands.
That's cliche dialogue.
I did laugh at
Let's
that.
not talk.
Somebody actually wrote that in there. Guys, we talked about this on we're about 2027. I think a studio is going to come out with a major IP like Jurassic World or something like that. And it's going to be the first AI film. And that's going to be their thing. It's going to be all made with AI. I think there'll still be man-made films. It'll be independent stuff. Small independent creators will always make man-made stuff because there will be something for it. But as far as like the big studios, they could probably, like, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning cost $400 million. An AI version of that probably would cost $5 million. And they can still distribute it and and they can put it out on streaming and make money. So,
and be done faster.
Reshoots are literally just typing out one line of code and typing in another line of code.
Uh-huh.
And that's the reshoots instead of calling people back or doing any of these other things. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens to the entertainment industry in the next couple of years.
That's why they were on strike 2 years ago. They know they're dead.
They're dead already with that. I actually think, Steve, that they're holding it all back. I think they're light years ahead, but the effects of unleashing AI in its truest form right now would be devastating to just life in general. Because we would be like, what do we do now with life?
What are they going to? Is Tom Hanks going to flip a burger or something? None of those actors can do anything. And there might be one or two that had a life beforehand and accidentally got in. But yeah, you saw MI-28. If you could really, if they wanted to, just like the Superman ones, they could have. I just went stupid. Christopher Reeve do 30 Supermans, never age, and you have them for the rest of the time. You can do You could do Tom Cruise MI1 looking
Yep.
the whole way, no change.
And there was another deal with AI. They released this video game called Fortnite, and they released this Darth Vader AI chatbot onto the Fortnite. And of course, the internet being the internet, he started saying awful things about 5 seconds in, but still, the actors union sued because you're taking acting jobs away. The problem is James Earl Jones, before he died, signed a contract with Fortnite saying, go ahead, use my voice, have at it. And they paid his kids a bunch of cash in perpetuity. He did the same thing with Star Wars. He's like, you can use my name or you can use my voice, use it forever. You're going to see major actors with notable voices like a Tom Hanks, Mark, all these guys, before they go, they're going to sign the rights away while they can.
Yeah.
And they'll make the money. And then pretty much all of these other ones will, new acting generations will be just decimated because there's no need for them.
Yeah. They want to make sure that they are recognized and remembered. And it's my thing. Like, I mean, Harrison Ford, guarantee they'll do something.
Oh, yeah.
Han Solo thing for,
Imagine if you could get 10 more Indiana Jones in the Last Crusades.
Yeah. Actually,
right?
Good one.
Like, imagine that instead of like all the last couple terrible ones.
Yeah, you have to geriatrics Indiana Jones, or you have to go to the old timers facility to get him out. No, that wasn't. No. I refused to watch it.
Yeah, I was. I think I watched. I don't know. I did watch. It was terrible, but
I thought I had my own rule. I haven't seen any Terminators. Genesis made me stop watching Terminator. I think I shot myself in Genesis, and then went back in time to not do that again.
Yeah.
So, and then I haven't watched anything that I liked before. All the ones that they remade that I like, Indiana Jones, Terminator, all that's not doing it. You killed it. It's over.
Which is, I mean, the crazy thing is, in the effort to prevent AI from coming, Hollywood has blown its own foot off, doing all of these kinds of things to prevent it. But it's just normal people. If you took the cutout where they were in the noir film, the black and white, and you didn't tell a normal person it was AI, and you're like, oh, what film is that from? They would probably say, oh, it looks like that's from the 40s. They could probably throw in an AI movie in 2 years and people wouldn't even know. Like, oh, it's a pretty neat movie
with cartoons. They got with cartoons. They just had to have the actors' voices. But look at, True Catholic made a segue for us. Did you know that?
I did. True Catholic always looking out for us.
I know. I accidentally said something about popping something in my head, and he brought up the S word, and we forgot. Hey, Don Bongino.
Dan Bongino. He's going to fix it. Dan Bongino.
That Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, I want you, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
He killed himself. You want me to I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
It's easy when you're sitting on the outside saying, my tight shirt, and then he gets in there, they're like, no, he ain't gonna say nothing.
Here's your marching orders. Say it and you're fired.
Yep.
He did.
Yep. And the crazy thing is, people gave Bongino like, oh, he gave up such a, all this money. You think he's not going to make money when he gets out? He's going to write another book. He's going to do all this other stuff. You just have to play the game, guys.
Yeah, we
just have to play the game. That's it.
Yeah, we talked about that. We mentioned that, he gave up $1 million salary or whatever to get a pay cut. So when he gets out, he'll get the book deals, movie deals,
speaking fees
that make the show even bigger.
Yep. So it's not like he's losing out. And the crazy thing is, MAGAs will go, well, if Dan said it, then I guess nothing bad did happen.
There are actually people that have said that. People are like, I see all the evidence. It goes this way, but I trust Dan. So Dan must be right.
Dan must be right. You know, Danny Cash, I trust all the big podcast guys on Concern. I trust them. Of course you are, because they're in the clique. They're in the club.
Like my ears being tickled. You're right over here. Scratch that, scratch that. You know, that just little thumper going. They're right here. Yeah, that's those mega folks.
Yep, and it's fine. It's all good again. Don't worry about it. And I mean, it was kind of funny. Alex Jones did have a little bit where we can't play because he says some awful things. But he's like, you know, don't tell me this stuff, Bongino. Don't tell me that you think that we know that Epstein he didn't unalive himself. We have proof of it. Now you're going to come in there and say, oh yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
What was it something somebody brought in and said, oh, your girl Pam Epstein for
Law and Order Bondi. Yeah,
Pam Bondi. She goes, we have thousands of hours of Epstein killing young children, and as I think was it Glenn Greenwald goes, we already knew that. We don't care about that. We want the other stuff. We don't care about watching 1,000 hours of him doing this. We know that. They're never going to get anything.
Yeah. Yep. People wanted arrests. They wanted perp walks. They didn't want binders of the same information that everybody already knew. But it's all part to keep you distracted, guys. You know, Bongino's doing his part, coming out, talking about this stuff, because what does it do? It distracts you from other things that you should be focused on or you should be talking about. And that's just par for the course. They give you these crumbs, and it doesn't matter if it's right-wing media or Catholic media or your Catholic podcasters. They're too busy talking about the dumbest possible things on planet Earth instead of actually talking about things that matter. It's not all of them, but a lot of them are talking about a lot of stupid crap, and it doesn't mean anything, but it gets the right views because the algorithm tells them to talk about it. So,
well, I mean, there's game shows. I mean, you want to? We live in Idiocracy, the movie. Have you seen the new game show they're pitching?
Homeland Security is in talks with a reality TV show producer about a game show where immigrant contestants would compete for U.S. citizenship. According to the Wall Street Journal, television producer Rob Warsoff, the man behind Duck Dynasty, says he's been pitching the idea for the show as far back as the Obama administration, but the project hasn't come together. It's unclear how far along the process is, but in a statement, a Department of Homeland Security spokesperson said the proposed show has not been approved or denied. Warsoff says the show is meant to be hopeful that the contestants would be legal immigrants and that losing would not result in deportation. According to the DHS statement, the department gets hundreds of TV show pitches every year, and they all go through a thorough vetting process.
Why have a game show when you can't get kicked out?
We talked about that on my show for a little bit, and the only real way to deal with this is we got to bring back American Gladiators. You got to bring back America. That's the only one. If you're going to do this, they need to fight in American Gladiators, and whoever beats Nitro or Turbo or any of these guys, then you could be an American citizen. You don't have to pass the test or anything, but if you get through like the Gatling gun of like tennis balls, then you could be an American citizen. I don't care about the test. I want to see if you can fight Nitro. That's what I want.
I was listening to James Evan Pilato, Media Monarchy, which again is one of the secular groups I watch. I listen to a lot. Be careful on that. Don't take my word for that, because he does like to cuss a little bit on there. It's cringe when he does it. But anyways, he posted that he played that video, and then they go, no, what would be great is if maybe have the immigrants have to catch the pedos.
Alien versus Predator. Yep.
If you catch 10, you get immediate citizenship. But if you catch a governor employee, you immediately get kicked back to El Salvador.
Yeah, you go back to zero. You can't do that. Nope. Let's have some fun with it. I get it. I understand that. They're going to start in the Statue of Liberty and go to the West Coast. Boring. Let's have them do some fun stuff. Let's have them, participate in American Gladiators, or, do your thing where they hunt down criminals and all these. Yeah, let's do that kind of stuff.
If you get voted off the island, you have to swim across the Rio
you are literally voted off the island on that one. ICE puts you in a black bag as soon as you get voted off, and you just get put right in the van. And you're
what
you're
did they call that in Idiocracy? It was when they put him in the middle, put him in the on the way down. Everyone's up there in the stadium looking down on it. It wasn't re-education.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I haven't seen Idiocracy in a while.
Yeah, the trucks are coming at him, shooting at him, all that.
I know what you're talking about. But I actually don't remember the actual term for it, because I when you were talking about that, I know what you're. I don't.
Yeah, I can picture the scene, but I can't remember what they reprogramming something. I don't remember.
Something like
it was
that.
Reprogramming. But yeah, that's a real story, a legit story that they're coming out with. Again, you got the game show president.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Everything's a stage.
It makes perfect sense where an issue that people are very serious about. Most people voted on the basis of immigration one way or another, and because it isn't going the way that they want, let's just turn it into a game show and see what happens.
Well, speaking of what you just said, where is it at?
I don't know. Where is it at? Where is it at?
Arrested a
Where's that
Milwaukee County Circuit judge for allegedly helping illegal immigrants get away. As you guys look at other judges, would you ever arrest somebody higher up on the judicial food chain, like a federal judge or even a Supreme Court justice?
Well, that's a hypothetical question. Again, I defer you to the Department of Justice for individuals that they are looking at or individual cases. But let's be clear about what this judge did. She obstructed federal law enforcement who were looking for an illegal alien in her courthouse. She showed that illegal alien the door to evade law enforcement officials. That is a clear-cut case of obstruction. You don't have to be a lawyer to understand that. And so anyone who is breaking the law or obstructing federal law enforcement officials from doing their jobs.
The issue is that, and this is really important to get, and I think so many people have become misled and deceived on this point, confused by it on purpose. We have a system of laws that permit the administration to deport people who are in the United States without legal authorization. It is not a long, protracted process. In fact, you don't even get to an Article 3 court, which is like a real court, a federal court. All you can do, if the government says, we know you're here illegally and we want to remove you, deport you, the only thing you're entitled to is you get a quick hearing inside the Homeland Security Department. It's not a court in the judiciary. It's a court in the executive branch, a deportation court that basically rubber stamps what the Homeland Security wants to do, what ICE wants to do. And the only question in the hearing is not, are they criminals? Did they do something bad? The only question is, are you here in the United States without legal authorization? We claim you are, and then it's up to the person to show that they have legal authorization. If they can't, they're deported. It's quick, it's easy, it's cheap. It's how President Obama, for example, deported millions of people. So we have a system that the Supreme Court has no interest in messing in, the judiciary has no interest in messing in, hasn't demonstrated in any way an attempt to impede that. The entire reason there's a controversy here with courts, and the entire reason why these courts have been deeply concerned, is because the Trump administration decided, for multiple reasons, that they didn't only want to use standard deportation law. They wanted to give themselves way more power than that to invoke what is called the Alien Enemies Act, which is a law passed in 1798 that says in wartime, the president has basically unlimited authority to do whatever he wants with people who are alien enemies, people who are not American citizens, but who are enemies of the country, because basically they're siding with their original government with war and not with the United States, or they're here to subvert or undermine the United States as war fighting. And because it's such a draconian statute, because it gives the president so much power, it's only been invoked 3 times in American history when there were real wars taking place: the War of 1812, World War I, World War II. And this is the law that FDR used to order all Japanese Americans in detention camps pending the end of the war, which is considered one of the worst civil liberties disgraces of the 20th century. So it's only his invocation of the law and all the immense power that that gives that has caused the courts to even be concerned in the first place. Does he really have the right to invoke the Alien Enemies Act under the statute? Are we really at war in the way the statute intends? And then the second question, which the Supreme Court already answered by 9-0, is even during wartime under the Alien Enemies Act, for example, when they wanted to put Nazi sympathizers in camps or to deport them, even they got hearings so they could disprove the accusations against them. So what the Trump administration is doing is not deporting people back to their country of origin, or they could just use standard deportation law and there'd be no problem. What they want to do is do things like put them in Guantanamo, send them to horrific dungeons in El Salvador and pay the El Salvadoran government to keep them in prison basically for life. They're talking about sending them to South Sudan or Libya. These are way outside normal deportation proceedings, and that's why they wanted to invoke this very extreme law. So anyone who tells you, oh, the Supreme Court is saying you have to give 20 million people a trial before you... No, totally false. Totally false. If you're deporting people under standard immigration law, it's quick and easy through the Homeland Security once ICE arrests them and they're out. And the only issue is, are they here illegally? But when you invoke the Alien Enemies Act, there are major constitutional questions involved. And that's why courts have stepped in. So this idea that, oh, the American people told us to deport and the courts are preventing us from deporting, no, they're not. They're preventing you from invoking the Alien Enemies Act, or at least doing so in some cases.
Which we've been trying to talk about for the last, weeks, a month or so?
Yeah. My only pushback on what Greenwald is saying is that the reason why Trump has escalated is because no other president has had 86 injunctions from all over the country put on him.
Did you say 86?
Oh, I know. But yeah, I'll just do the James Coney defense. I thought it was slang, or however, 84, 85. The amount of injunctions that have been put on him versus any other president, if they just left him alone, he wouldn't have invoked the Alien Sedition Act. He wouldn't be talking about habeas corpus. These supposed grab for powers, one could argue, are in result of the fact that judges are overstepping their bounds and ruling on cases and absorbing authority that they don't have. So it's kind of an arms race between the two branches of government. You know, Trump saying, well, other presidents have done exactly this, and they never had a problem with it. And Greenwald even said that. And judges saying, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do this. You're going to have to stop deportations for 40 days, or you have to do this. So I'll play the devil's advocate in this regard. The reason this is escalating is because the courts are overstepping their authority.
Yeah, the district ones. Yeah,
I'm talking about district ones.
Yeah.
That's the lower level courts.
Yeah,
are overstepping.
It was like what we talked about a couple weeks ago. The San Francisco district court made the. Did you see the freedom tunes?
Yes, I did. Yep.
You can't go potty here.
Yeah, it's like the ridiculous things that they're coming up with.
Yeah.
And so that's it. You can't expect somebody like Trump to just sit down and be like, okay, well, you said I can't, so I'm not going to do it anymore. It's one versus another. So it is what it is in that regard. That's at least a mild pushback I'll put on what Greenwald said. Most of what he said was correct.
No, the district court ones, because that's, McClendon had a great video on it. He talked about that's where John Taylor Carroll and Tyranny Unmasked.
Yeah,
where you get the one person to do everything for a blanket thing, and that was a unelected judge in district in California. How's that influence Massachusetts, New Jersey, Georgia, things like that? Again, that gets into the everyone thinks it's one nation BS.
Yep.
And the whole idea of, oh, we're just one. Well, again, if you're one, then you better love that district guy telling you in another. But if you're not, then you're going, I don't want somebody from Hackensack, New Jersey. If that's,
I think Hackensack's in New Jersey. I think that's right.
Telling someone or if I was living in Las Cruces, New Mexico, obviously, if you use 2 working brain cells, I'm like going, yeah, why would I want that? That's the whole line of having one tyrant 1,000 miles away in England. When you're in the colonies, you should be ruled by yourself. You rule by yourself. Should be ruled. My neighbor comes out today with he's a big traveler. They're up in their 70s and they travel the world. He comes out with a red hat, and everyone thinks it's a MAGA hat, but it's got a flag on it. I'm like, how you guys mix it up? And it's Charlestown, Massachusetts, and he talks about having that flag was the city's flag, and then he goes, I don't know why the town had a flag, and I go, I know, this guy I do know. Over here, please ask me. Yeah. But we get away from that. I think Spartanburg has a town flag, things like that. You're an entity, your city, your town, your county. But no, we got this one nation thing, and your Lincolnian ideas. Oh, you want to be ruled from somebody that lives 2-4 time zones away? Enjoy it. Never complain. So enjoy the tyranny. Not everyone's not all these are like this. Yeah, there's bad people in there. Like someone brought up the Kristi Noem thing when she was down in El Salvador, saying it was like prison porn. You got all these guys behind her, pretty much naked, and then she's standing in front of them, kind of like an only.
I call her law enforcement Barbie.
Yeah, just standing. What is she doing? Anyway, you got stuff like this happening quite frequently too.
Before they ever set foot in the United States, Lisbeth Sanguino and her sons went through months of vetting, in-person interviews, and background checks to be resettled as refugees from Venezuela. So she was shocked when the family arrived at the Houston airport and immigration agents arrested her 24-year-old son, Widmer Aguelvis. The reason? A tattoo of a rose and a clock, which an agent wrote are associated with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. But experts say Tren de Aragua does not use tattoos as markers of membership. And government documents show that Aguelvis had no criminal record or other evidence linking him to the gang. Yet he ended up here, in a notorious supermax prison in El Salvador designed to lock up gang members and terrorists indefinitely, with no contact with the outside world. He's one of hundreds of men deported to the prison without a court hearing under the Alien Enemies Act, a circumvention of due process that advocates have challenged in court as unlawful, but which Trump officials have justified by calling the men a threat to the nation.
Our job is to send the terrorists out before anyone else gets raped or murdered.
We found, through government documents and interviews with lawyers and families,
it's basically an emotional plea.
We found, through government documents and interviews with lawyers and families, that at least 3 of the men, including Aguelvis, had been carefully vetted to come to the U.S. under the Refugee Resettlement Program, a process for people fleeing war and persecution. My son,
of course, it has to be known that the Biden administration changed the definition of what a refugee was.
Yeah.
During the Great Flood. So when they tell you, oh, under the refugee program, was that the refugee program pre-2020 or was that during Biden's? Because those are 2 totally different refugee statuses. Second thing, when they casually drop due process, remember due process for a legal versus a non-legal are 2 different things. The first one is, hey, are you, Steve and I, we get pulled over, in a car, we're both license and registration. We hand them our state driver's license, which shows that we have residency here and registration, all that stuff. If you can't produce that and you can't produce the fact that you are a citizen of the U.S., no visa, no work permit, no nothing. If you're here illegally, that's your due process. Now you have to go. And there is now, yes, they're going to find the 1 or 2 cases where this guy was dragged there for whatever reason because of a tattoo or something like this. But that's also indicative of the fact that things are going to fall through the cracks. I know it's a bad way to phrase it, but that happens. But this idea that every single person who comes to the country illegally needs to have some kind of fair trial when they say, hey, I'm not here illegally. I don't have any proof that I came across here legally. I violated the law by sneaking into the country. Okay, well, then you got to go. So it's, as Steve said, that's my opinion, but also Steve is correct that they're using the emotional manipulation to make you feel bad about these kinds of things.
That's what Glenn said too. I mean, you already got a process. You sit them down. Are you here? Are you not? Can you produce anything here? I mean, this guy, at least they went through the right ways. And there's other stories I could have pulled out that were the same way, but yeah, not all of them are like that. But yeah, it's the ones that are, yeah, you're right. It's that, are you here? Are you not? Can you produce any information? That's due process. No, the problem is no one's getting that. They're just going, you got your brown people, you're going to El Salvador. And then eventually you're like, oh, you're one of you guys. Maybe you're going to, I don't want to go to El Salvador anytime soon. I mean, it sounds cool before the coolest dictator that self-proclaimed that Trump says was down there, but I don't think I want to go. But we do have, you talked about Miss Barbie showing how smart she is.
No, yes,
Secretary Noem, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is.
Before we continue, if you have little children sitting around and you're fearful that they become dumber if they watch this, please remove them.
Remove them ASAP.
This is your warning.
Corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right
let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President
habeas
Lincoln
corpus,
used it.
Excuse me. Habeas corpus is the legal principle that requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people. If not for that protection, the government could simply arrest people, including American citizens, and hold them indefinitely for no reason. Habeas corpus is the foundational right that separates free societies like America from police states like North Korea. As a senator from the live free or die state, this matters a lot to me and my constituents and to all Americans. So Secretary Noem, do you support the core protection that habeas corpus provides, that the government must provide a public reason in order to detain and imprison someone?
Yeah, I support habeas corpus. I also recognize that the President of the United States has the authority under the Constitution to decide if it should be suspended or not.
It has never
Let us be clear, though,
it has never been done. It has never been done without approval of Congress. Even Abraham Lincoln got retroactive approval from Congress.
I mean,
you got retroactive approval.
She may get canned for doing something like that. I mean, what's his face got canned last week or a couple weeks ago? Mike,
Well, yeah, he was a signal guy.
Yeah.
He was a signal.
I mean,
guy.
after a while, if you say a couple more stupid things, you're done.
Yeah, but he doesn't look good with a ponytail, so he's that's why he got fired.
You are true. She's got the hot or not hot or not feature, I guess.
She'll blink her eyelashes at him. She's like, "All right, it's fine. Don't do it again. It's all right."
I'm sorry, Donnie. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Just keep up, because he knows that most people don't watch C-SPAN. Most people are not going to see that clip, but they will see her dressed up with her LARPing around with her kit and her DS8 hat on Fox News and all that stuff. So that's all it is in that regard. But yeah, not a great moment she was a governor too. she was an executive. She was an executive of a state, which is even more mind-blowing.
It's just the fame makes people just go stupid. It's just because she was fine in South Dakota.
Yeah,
she was doing all the right things. Then it gets into this thing, and then it goes doo, doo, da, da, da. We're happy.
Yeah, you got a taste of the swamp. You got a taste of the swamp, man. So,
I mean, she wasn't even looking like Don Bongino and them, looking like they were prisoners saying there. I have to say this. I cannot speak. No, she was speaking.
Yeah.
She didn't have notes. She just went, okay, I'm just going to show the world that I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Well, I don't, okie dokie day. I just whatever's going to work in that regard. So it is what it is.
Pound I voted for this.
But I mean, it's the same thing. Like when Pam Bondi says something stupid, it gets wiped under. It'll get, it'll get swept under the rug real quick. So it is what it is in that regard. But yeah, not too surprising. Some from Trump's all-star cabinet. Continuing to impress us as they move towards. Let's transition to.
We'll break the 86 stuff out while we're on the presidential stuff, just to get out.
Yeah.
since that was the big news with Comey. I don't have the clip or anything, but everyone knows about it. But did you know about this, about the Brandon 8646? And everyone's favorite, I know my favorite and Rick's,
Jack Prosebic, your favorite Catholic.
He was calling for people to be arrested.
Yep.
Yet he posted 8646.
Yep.
Internet doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't. Screenshots are forever, homie. And it's absolutely ridiculous how the whataboutism, that's true whataboutism right there, where it's like, I can't believe you did it. Well, you did it too. Nuh-uh. Okay. And that's
like,
really,
like you said, I mean, as people have short-term memories, they might not, they're never going to look anything up like, I wonder if someone else did this. Nope. They're just going to go, what's new, what's now, and never think about yesterday. And
well, it's the 24-hour news cycle, Steve. It's not, people don't even remember it's Thursday. People don't even remember what happened Monday. So you can't expect them to know what happened a couple years ago under a different president, nevertheless, even if that president technically wasn't, all around, because not only did he have dementia, but apparently he had cancer the entire time he was in office.
I'm surprised that it wasn't, the public wasn't notified a long time ago, because to get to stage 9, that's a long time. I just had my physical. You saw that. You saw the results of that particular test. I think that test is standard to pretty much anybody getting a physical, good physical. We had the doctors at the White House and over at Walter Reed, which is a fantastic hospital. I do it. I did a very complete physical, including cognitive tests. I'm proud to announce I aced it. Got them all. I got them all right. You proud of me? Yes. Your husband would be proud of me for getting them all right. It's a little risk. If I didn't get them all right, these people would be after me. It would be not a good situation.
You already mentioned Brandon. I got lost.
I think, frankly, anybody running for president should take a cognitive test. They say it's unconstitutional, but I would say in that particular case, you take a look. It's the same doctor that said that Joe was cognitively fine. There was nothing wrong with him. Well, he said, if it's the same doctor, he said there was nothing wrong there. And that's being
as I said, it's one thing to wish Biden well, express sorrow for his cancer. I want to talk about that in a second. But, you can wish him well. You can say, cancer is terrible, which of course it is. It devastates a lot of people's lives. So thoughts and prayers with Biden. But at the same time, you can insist on an investigation as to whether this cover-up of his cognitive decline, who was involved with that, who in the media happened. Of course, all that needs to be understood. That's a major scandal. And now in making this announcement, which seems like it would distract from that investigation, it actually worsened it all, because even Biden's allies are saying, wait, did he also conceal that he has malignant cancer? Terminal cancer? With a pretty short lifespan? I mean,
yeah. So the fact is, nobody's pointing out the true villain in this whole story, and that's Jill Biden, who
she's a doctor?
Yeah, she's a doctor, and she forced her husband onto the campaign trail back in 2019, back when he the way this whole thing is to get to stage 9 means he had cancer back then, and the fact that he was cognitively impaired, as well as having, cancer ravage his body. And doctors kept saying every year for the physical, he's fine. Don't worry about it. He's fine. Because I guess their plan was to really drag his skin suit across the line in this election cycle, and then have it be like, oh no, he has cancer. He has to leave, and Kamala has to take over. And that's going to be the case. And sorry, guys. And now you have Kamala for 3 years, and it would have gone flawlessly if that would have been the case. But Jill, boys, that's why it's important you find the right woman to marry, because when you get on in years, they're the one who's going to be controlling your, helping you or controlling. They dragged him out onto The View like 2 days before this, this thing actually happened. So the fact that and he could barely speak English then, so it's an absolute classic example, Steve, of how power corrupts absolutely, because you will literally, throw your dying husband who has cancer and dementia out there just so you could stay in the White House.
Come on, man. I'm going to go with the Jibbity.
It can't. To get to 9, it can't go. It doesn't go that quickly.
Well, here goes the sites I'd listen to. I'm kind of, where's my tinfoil? I got it somewhere around here.
We got to get the Alex Jones warning.
Yeah. I'll be the real Alex Jones for a minute. That was part of the whole thing, was the turbo cancer. When they say accelerated cancers, my mind immediately was going, that you never heard that term until the Jibbity jab was coming through. Accelerated turbo cancer, turbo this, turbo that. Everything was there. And that was what I plopped up here, McCullough, because he mentioned that as well, so that it meets all the definitional criteria for turbo cancer or cancer on overdrive. They were talking about that back in 2021, 22, and he said he took 6 of the Jibbity jabs. So, which the
only thing that you have, one thing that supports your thesis is Scott Adams.
Uh-huh.
How Scott Adams has announced he has the exact same type of cancer, and he's kind of like, I think it might have been the jab. He actually has come out and said that.
Yeah. If you watch any of the, especially like local news here, we'll talk about it. They just did a story last week of docs being confused. That was a couple of days. It might have been Monday. Now that you brought up, no one knows what happened Monday. It might have been Monday that they had this whole thing about breast cancer, and they were saying that rates have skyrocketed in the last few years, and they don't know why. And it's like, well, gee, ponder the thought. What's something different that's happened in the last few years that has been different than the other previous something years? Yeah, so you might some kind of injection. By the way, remember Stargate, Day 1, mRNA tech, cancer things. Brandon kept it going. Obama, not saying they injected anything like that. Just letting you know that the mRNA is here to stay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wait, forgot. It's not here to stay. It's going to get worse. Today, Senator RFKJ met with leaders at the forefront of health tech, innovators creating wearable devices, AI tools, and personalized apps that empower Americans to take control of their health. These breakthroughs are key to our mission to make America healthy again. Baja, if you're nasty, by shifting the focus from sick care to healthcare prevention and real-time health insight. Translation, please. They're getting your data.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's the next frontier is, health data, and they're just going to accumulate it and accumulate it and accumulate it. And who knows what they're thinking about, what they're going to do with it and how they're going to use it and splice it and all the other kinds of crazy things that they haven't planned in mind for it. But yes, they will track your data down to the, to the pulse.
Yep. You can think the 23andMe stuff. You think the prick of your fake kids in the hospital stuff. Anything you think of. And by the way, that when they get that mRNA on there, all they got to do is type up, we want this in there. And that's their sale. Hey, you get this. Then we can just upload it. Any jab we want, you already got it. And it'll take care of whatever you need. You're like there's that bioconvergence thing that Harari was talking about, Klaus Schwab was talking about, WEF talking about. Oh, sounds like it's the same freaking page, just a different author on it. Hey, we just got a different hat on. It's the hat now we got on. It's cool this time.
Yep. It's approved. It's got the stamp on it now. It's got the red stamp instead of the blue stamp. So, and don't forget, guys, you still got Neuralink. Which, if you ever Neuralink, then guess what? You could do the exact same thing with that kind of stuff, because the amount of control that they'll have over your brain, to do any of these kinds of things to you in the name of health and safety, which they always love saying. It's the name of health and safety.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah. But so.
Oh, by the way, someone asked, what is 86? If you ever worked in the restaurant industry, you heard the term 86 to whatever, mashed potatoes, corned beef, shepherd's pie. What 86? We have no more of it. Get rid of it to get it off the menu, discard it type deal. So everyone's now making that seem like that's an assassination thing. It basically says remove whatever. So 8646 remove Brandon. 8647 remove Don. So that's 86 is a restaurant term usually, and it's also in military and
it's got more than one application.
Yeah.
So mob mentality, all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's understood. Removal, one way or another, is kind of the idea with that stuff.
Which all presidents should be removed. Pretty much, all you can go ahead. Every one of them could have been impeached, should be impeached and removed. There's always something that they broke some kind of rule. And now you got somebody, just like the others recent ones, that do it daily and think they're, as the one video said, almost absolute control with this. You call an emergency, Rona, and you do whatever you want. You have these unlimited powers, which don't exist, but we make them up. Emergency
powers.
And if you like it under one guy, how many times we said, Rick, you better like it under the next guy.
You better love it. You better love it under the next guy, right? You can't Benny Johnson it, where it's, oh my gosh, this guy is falling. Oh, it's actually, builds character. It builds character to lose money. So don't worry about it. It's it builds toughness. But under Kamala, everything is gonna, the second coming of Auschwitz. But yeah, people won't. It's still red versus blue. It's still sport. It's still a sport, and it'll be a sport until people wise up, which they won't. But speaking of sports, we got our team, I guess, did some scoring this week with Trump and the South African president, where he invited the South African president to come to the White House and then dim the lights and play the video, all the videos that we've seen on Instagram or X and all these other places for the South African president. And it was kind of funny to watch, but it's one of those things that people
Just put this on. It's right behind you.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. Can we drop my membership from this useless parliament? Yes, honorable member. Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill. Gaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer.
I really want to know what they were thinking during that. When they're sitting there just, what do we respond to this?
He was like, I do not know what you are talking about. This is something I have never seen. And Trump's like, what are you talking about? That's you right there. I do not see me. I do not know what you are talking about.
Everyone, I know, like someone just wrote that's base Trump. Yeah. It's easy when it's not your boss. Call me when it does Bibi.
Yep, exactly.
As Adam says, Hamas only has 20,000 members. So why has Israel destroyed their homes of 2 million citizens, every hospital, school, university, and refugee camp? And now they're bombing on top of the ruins. Everyone is like, I saw someone put there. People have been getting dogged online. This is my guy. He's sticking it to him, and then the next photo somebody puts up is him pushing the chair off of Bibi.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, like Jack, the whole thing. He calls out the white genocide. Let me know when they call out the Gaza genocide that we've been paying for,
and that we're participating in because we plan to move the Palestinians to a quote unquote safe place. Be a safe place? Gaza, if you stop bombing the crap out of it. That would be a pretty safe place. So
hey, here's our tax. Here's the pause on the tax dollars going to it.
Camp over at anti-war, who's written up several pieces of information. And as you say, Dr. Paul, Israeli strikes kill hundreds in Gaza.
That's 4 days
as
ago.
IDF announces extensive ground operations. We're talking 150 people, mostly women and children, killed each day over the past 4 or 5 days. You're seeing a massive increase, and as you say, the point is to completely depopulate the area. And what's happening is two things.
Every
Now,
time
first
I see
of all,
it, I
they've
can't
been
handle it, man. That wig is
starved
awful.
since March.
That is awful.
Virtually no food has gotten in since March. We've seen pictures of people. I've seen pictures of starving kids, dead babies who've starved to death, etc. So when you've starved people for that many months, and then you offer the aid, so some limited amount of aid's coming in. It's coming in according to a very weird scheme, whereby I think there are maybe 4 or 5 distribution centers for 2 million people. So they're each going to have to distribute 500,000 meals, which is almost impossible if you think about it. But what they're built into basically walled-in concentration camps. So if you're hungry, you got to go where the food is, and you got to get locked in. It's almost using this food as bait to get these people to leave the rest of Gaza and come in and finally get some food, and then they will have been ethically cleansed. So in what looks like it might be a humanitarian concession, in fact is the opposite. It's a way of doing the final cleansing of the Gaza Strip of Palestinians.
You know, that's a good, I never thought that because Trump was talking about getting food in there to people. So I wonder if that was, thinking of it. Because again, we mentioned he didn't say stop that or anything like that. That's still part of the plan. He's got money, hundreds of billions of dollars of donations to do that. So
yeah,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
It does seem like there's no realistic allies to the Palestinians in the region. Sounds like the vocal people are on college campuses getting their civil rights abused because they're not supposed to even talk about it and say that.
Which a false flag happened today around that.
There's something unfair about what's going on. Of course, our position is not deciding to pick sides as much as pick our side and say just stay out of it, because when you look at it, if we said, well, why don't we accept the principle that we don't give weapons and we don't send equipment and all and support this type of operation? I mean, just think how much money we'd save there.
Yeah.
Well, here's one of the people in Israel just the other day.
Gaza is the enemy. We are at war with the Gazan entity, the Gazan terror entity, which we ourselves established in Gaza, in Oslo, and in the disengagement. The disengagement that...
He started out by saying that the Gazan children are the enemy.
Prime Minister Netanyahu voted in favor of, that is the enemy now. Every such child to whom you are now giving milk, in another 15 years will rape your daughters and slaughter your children. We need to conquer Gaza and settle it. And not a single Gazan child should remain there. Let's stop telling ourselves this deception just to score points in this game between pro-Bibi and anti-Bibi. This isn't about left or right, it's about winning this war, and it's about justice. When will we learn? When will we learn?
Yeah, you would think like Leela and them would talk about, not protecting the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what are you doing?
That's ain't that a pro-life issue? I mean,
well, I think Catholic Inc. is having a problem right now because, in one hand, the big beautiful bill has done some things to like get rid of some kind of stuff, defunding Planned Parenthood or whatever. But on the other hand, my cries to everybody to pick up the issue of IVF have gone absolutely silent. I have been completely ignored. I tagged a bunch of people yesterday and I put the article underneath. I'm like, can you please speak out about IVF? None of them will. Nobody will touch it. And in case you haven't been listening to my show, Trump, he signed an EO in February, talking about IVF and saying IVF is he's going to make it more accessible. Some of the things that are being leaked is that they are now considering making IVF in a mandating private insurance companies to cover it.
Because we just think it's great, and we need
great children, beautiful children in our country. We actually need them. And we are going to be, under the Trump administration, we are going to be paying for that treatment. So we are paying for that treatment.
All Americans who want it?
All Americans that get it, all Americans that need it. So we're going to be paying for that treatment, or we're going to be mandating that the insurance company pay.
It looks like they're going to go with that second option. So your insurance company's not going to have to cover multiple rounds of IVF. And if you talk, I don't know where I read it. I'm sorry, it was on X, so it could be true, it could be false. IVF workers are like, yeah, we hope they don't catch in the first round. We want to go 5 full rounds because it's $25,000 a treatment. I want to pay off my student loans with this one person. I'm going to get $100,000 out of it. And how many babies will be murdered from it? And I'll say it again, my hottest take, and may make me sound like a crazy coon, but IVF is designed to turn us into an asexual society because and it encourages single mothers. Because why do you need to get married, Steve? If insurance is going to cover your IVF treatment, so you don't have to get married, you could just go to the IVF clinic and they'll find the sperm for you, and then they'll make it and they'll just start the treatment. You don't need to be married. You can be single and not have to worry about it. The government will pay for it. They will pay for something that kills more babies than abortions. And I read it on X, and I'll repeat it. I repeat it on my show. I'll say it there. If he does it, he's not the most pro-life president. That whole thing is gone. That is gone. I don't want anybody ever say anything about it again.
It's a promise. Promise is kept. I didn't know that was a promise.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was something that was kind of just being talked about to kind of push back on the pro-life issue. But yeah, making it essential, guys. The amount of babies that will die because of this, and IVF is not guaranteed. IVF is not a guarantee. It's, people think it's a solution for, women who are older. It's actually not. It's hard for IVF to catch even in younger, healthier couples, younger women who are more fertile. A lot of times, older women try IVF as like the last ditch effort, and it doesn't work. It doesn't catch. And if it does catch, older women, when they are with their geriatric pregnancies, babies are not as healthy. It's just a fact, guys. If you have a child now, if you and your spouse in a marriage and you have your first child at 38, I'm not saying your kid's bad or anything like that. That's how God intended it to be. But if you're gonna genetically make a kid in a petri dish and shoot it into the girl by a needle, you're not going to be getting the best results out of that. So it's not a solution. It's not going to help. It will incentivize, Steve, women to stay in their careers longer because they all have the safety net of IVF now. And that's how it will be preached as. Oh, well, don't worry. You don't have to get married now. You don't have to have kids now. It'll be on your time, Steve. Not when God thinks about it. Your time. So
it goes with that. Never let a crisis go to waste. There was apparently a bombing at a IVF clinic in California.
How ironic, Steve. Now people will rally around the idea of IVF.
Speaking of that, they call this. Was that Tesla involved in this? Because it sounded like that Tesla explosion that happened.
Yeah, we don't know what the car looks like yet, but it could have been. Who knows? It was in California.
Hill Dog made it back.
Posted the other day this very blatant effort to basically send a message, most exemplified by Vance and Musk and others, that what we really need from you women are more children. And what that really means is you should go back to doing what you were born to do, which is to produce more children. And they are talking about, cash benefits for the more children you have. This has been tried, by the way, in other countries, and it has not worked. Or medals if you have 6 children, while they're contemplating cutting Medicaid, while they have no interest in paid family leave or funding quality child care. They're cutting Head Start. I mean, you go down the list of all the programs that support child rearing and the care of children and create, some safety net for women who are in the workforce, the formal workforce, as well as, raising children. So this is another performance about concerns they allegedly have for family life. But if you had read the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, despite Trump saying he knew nothing about it, if you had read it, it's all in there. It's all in there. Return to the family, the nuclear family, return to being a Christian nation, return to, producing a lot of children, which is sort of odd because the people who produce the most children in our country are immigrants, and they want to deport them. So none of this adds up. But, one of the reasons why our economy did so much better than comparable advanced economies across the world is because we actually had a replenishment, because we had a lot of immigrants, legally and undocumented, who had a...
Sorry for keeping her on too long. No, don't worry. She will not go to jail ever. We're part of the Gulf and nobody goes to jail ever.
That's another name for it. Never, ever going to jail.
Yeah.
But
you think anyone's going to go to jail? Shut up.
Don't worry, Dan Bongino's going to do it. Dan Bongino's going to put him in jail. He's going to perp walk him.
You might go to jail.
Yeah,
Rick might go. Rick might be going to jail. Yeah, they ain't going to jail. No.
Nope, not at all. But
get that out of your mind.
That demon just continues to exist, and it's just like every time I see her, it's like, shouldn't you be, in a hospital, like in some kind of nursing home at this point?
Well, it's another example why I keep saying that we have to have our boys get involved in some way in this kind of line of work. We got to have good people involved. I mean, yeah, you can say no, we don't need them. If you don't have good people involved in politics, you can have that kind of people involved in politics. And personally, I think people should get involved. I mean, if not, you're just gonna. It's almost like a no-win in a sense. I know you don't want to do it, but you might have to do it.
Yep. If you don't do it, somebody else will.
And that's somebody else, and then you just got her somehow daughter or somewhat daughter or second daughter or whatever Chelsea is.
Yeah, doing that stuff too. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. It's a choice. It's a choice. And the times where you do have good guys in these places, like Thomas Massey, we all love Thomas Massey. He's actually pushing back against the big, beautiful bill because it actually doesn't do any of the things that are promised. So once again, Trump has this beef with Massey. He's just got to let it go. He's never going to get Massey primaried out of that seat in Kentucky.
I'm a fiscal hawk. I'm a bigger fiscal hawk.
I'm the biggest one.
Like me as a fiscal hawk.
Massey said it adds more deficit than Biden did. This bill kind of
because we have to fix the country.
Do you think that Thomas Massey is correct in saying that this is adding Biden?
No, I don't think Thomas Massey understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly. He'll probably vote. We don't even talk to him much. I think he should be voted out of office. And I just don't think he understands government. If you ask him a couple of questions, he never gives you an answer. He just says, I'm a no. He thinks he's going to get publicity. And you have that.
I mean,
well, I'd love to stand here and tell the American people, we can cut your taxes and we can increase spending and everything's going to be just fine. But I can't do that because I'm here to deliver a dose of reality. This bill dramatically increases deficits in the near term, but promises our government will be fiscally responsible 5 years from now. Where have we heard that before? How do you bind a future Congress to these promises? This bill is a debt bomb ticking. Congress can do funny math, fantasy math, if it wants, but bond investors don't. And this week, they sent us a message. Moody's downgraded our credit rating, and the bond investors who buy our debt and finance our debt demanded higher interest rates on the 10-year note, the 20-year note, and the 30-year note. What does this mean? Very soon, the government will be paying $16,000 of interest alone per U.S. family. And what are we telling them? Instead of taking care of that problem, we're going to give you a $1,600 tax break. Under the
There goes that $5,000 Doge checks.
Taxing and spending levels in this bill, we're going to rack up, the authors say, $20 trillion of new debt over the next 10 years. I'm telling you, it's closer to $30 trillion of new debt in the next 10 years. Mr. Speaker, we're not rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic tonight. We're putting coal in the boiler and setting a course for the iceberg. If something is beautiful, you don't do it after midnight. I oppose.
A little bit coincidental, maybe, that just as the Ukraine war may be winding down, Ukraine having bled itself completely dry in its proxy war between Russia and the U.S., now here comes another new massive military boondoggle. And the down payment, of course, is this $175 billion. Now, Trump is claiming that this will pay for it. This is not even going to pay for studies. Put that first clip up. This is from the Epic Times by way of Zero Hedge. The DoD has selected a design for President Donald Trump's Golden Dome missile defense initiative that Trump announced it on May 20th. I'm pleased to announce we have officially selected the architecture for this state-of-the-art system, next-generation technologies across land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. It does sound like an updated Star Wars. Now go to the next one. It would be fully operational before the end of my term. That sounds a little bit like the jab. So we'll have it done in about 3 years. That, I think, Dr. Paul, the chance of that happening is zero. He said the plan of the DoD has selected should cost about $175 billion to complete. Now, we didn't just fall off the turnip truck, Dr. Paul, when we look at them saying, oh, it's only going to cost $175 billion. We know you're going to have to add probably another zero to that at least.
Yes, and it isn't just like you come up with the 175 and you have to take it out of somebody's pocket and it's paid off. It just adds to the debt. Then how long is that debt going to be? Well, it will continue forever until the whole system closes. So it's not even the 175. It's the accumulated interest I saw today, which we expected. Interest rates are going up. And people will buy the Treasury bills and pay the extra interest. And so it's a lot more than $175 billion. And the odds of it being successful are pretty slim.
First of all, this is a defense against ballistic missiles, hypersonic even, who knows. But the thing that we've learned, I think, from the Ukraine war is that warfare itself is changing dramatically. This is the first war that has become a drone war. These aren't like big missiles, like big Soviet ICBMs coming over and we knock them out of the sky. The war itself has changed. So who's to say between now and $175 billion later, if they build it for that, which we know they won't, it'll be in the trillions. By the time they have it deployed, the whole way that warfare is done may change. It may be lasers. It may be all sorts of things that we don't know now. We're building a massive monstrosity that basically has its ideological roots in the past, in the Cold.
That's part of the bill, and there's all kinds of things in the bill.
The bill is ridiculous.
A couple thousand pages.
It's just another spending bill. That's all. It's just got Trump's. The only good thing on there is that the House bill passed. It's going to get suppressors, cans, silencers, whatever you call them, off the NFA, which, for gun people, that's actually pretty, that's a pretty good thing to get that off of the NFA. So you should be able to buy them without, a tax stamp or any of these other kinds of things or registering them or anything like that. So that would be nice. But outside of that, nah, there's nothing good in there.
Yeah. And Peter Schiff goes anyway, because there's thousands of pages on here, nothing to do. And then you got Trump saying it's the greatest bill in the history of the history of the United States.
The most beautiful bill ever. What are you talking about? I'm the biggest fiscal hawk there is. I went bankrupt 6 times. So yeah, it is what it is in that regard. But
we mentioned the false flag. This happened today.
Mayor, thank you. Chief, thank you. Ambassador, our hearts go out to you and your staff. I spoke to the President of the United States multiple times tonight on behalf of the President. His prayers are with all of us, all of the Jewish community, everyone in Washington, D.C. state, local, and federal agencies, and our great U.S. Attorney, Jeanine Pirro, who will be prosecuting this case, will be doing everything in our power to keep all citizens
Why does she always
safe,
look like she's wearing a size
especially tonight, our
35X
Jewish community.
jacket?
Our prayers go out. We have the FBI. All of our federal agencies will work hand in hand with you, Chief, as we have done, and you, Mayor, to do everything we can to keep our citizens safe. We will follow the facts. We will follow the law. And this defendant, if charged, will be prosecuted to the fullest extent.
Oh, she means business.
My whole thing is the guy came from Chicago.
Now, this guy was just sitting there on a bench waiting for him.
Yeah, but he's a Chicago resident. So he drove from Chicago to Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, you know, that's what you do. And then you get your script and you say, hey, what am I supposed to say? All right, yell this.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
And then, like clockwork,
there is a direct line connecting incitement and anti-Semitism to this terrorism and killing. This incitement also includes foreign speakers and officials speaking on behalf of organizations across the world and especially in Europe. Words that are like modern blood libels and are we being well dispersed. The supposed genocide, the supposed human crimes against humanity and the killing of babies. These all pave the way for these murders.
Never let a crisis go to waste. Dr. Zdravin, they're going to blow this way up. Be prepared to see this all over the news, media, celebrities, the accounts here to expect, of course, will pound this home nonstop. Mark my words, this entire week will be filled with every talking head, which we don't have that much of a week left. Every account and commentator will pull us in the war with Iran and to tackle hate speech and X on X and other platforms. They will say X and other social media harboring hate speech that cost Americans and Jewish people their lives. We must crack down. And it wasn't soon after all this stuff was going down. It was, as you brought up, because this is weird. It's kind of weird to get killed outside a Jewish museum that closed 6 hours before the shooting.
Just a little strange.
Here's the track. So you're telling me 2 Israeli diplomats got killed across the street from an FBI field office outside a Jewish museum that had closed 4 hours earlier, and one day after Israel fired European diplomats and Europe was talking sanctions, and you don't think false flag. So there's plenty more to go on this. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting this on the internet right now.
I mean, it's not as cut and dry as they want you to think.
No.
Which they're trying to present it as. Even ground news is what I use for a lot of my sources. They mention, oh yeah, this is connected to anti-Semitism. Really? Because he said free Palestine, and they're trying to say, well, I had a CNN clip where they brought somebody on. They're like, well, it's the fault of the people at Columbia, and they're chanting caused this. It's like, just because somebody else says something, that doesn't mean a person hears it. That person who said it is responsible. You've gone down this rabbit hole before with other people. You're not responsible for the other actions of somebody else. Your statement does not mean somebody acts because of it. You can't be held accountable for that. So
yeah, but
they're going to try and manipulate that too.
No, but you got the regular people that just get the clips and get the trash and say, "Oh, free Palestine! Oh, that guy did it." Well,
yep, had to be. I believe in anti-Semitism. Absolutely.
I can't think much more than that. We have to move on to the next thing.
No, we don't have time. We don't have time.
See Caitlin Clark ended up tackling her. It was
with Angel Reese, and how Angel Reese had to be protected by the WNBA because of the people in Indiana screaming nasty things at her, apparently. So
everything's racist, and you're only going to get the clip just like that. I mean, you don't see the push before that happened. You just see the foul on that, which you take anything out of context. Media is going to show you what you want to see, what they want you to see, what they want you to believe and think. You're only going to see him yelling, "Free Palestine!" I just shot 2 people. You're not going to get anything else.
Yep, it's it. It's going to be the bullet points. Boop boop. That's it. Next story.
Next.
On to weather. Let's move on to weather now. And there's a dog adoption in the town, so we got to talk about that one.
If you want to adopt Fluffy, you can dial 555-6444.
That's right. Don't worry about it, Free Palestine. Fluffy needs a home, which, if you could, absolutely doubtful.
Maybe the dog named is Palestine. Free Palestine.
The dog's well, I mean, it's an anti-Semitic dog, so be careful about that. We've seen dogs in the UK when they do a certain salute, they get their owners in trouble. So be careful about that.
That's true.
But
Weird world.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of which, stablecoin is about to go live. Whee!
And I think it sets a good framework for market structure, which I'm excited about.
So I was told earlier today that there would be a passage of stablecoin legislation by Memorial Day. Do you think that that's a fair target?
For stablecoin, yes. I do think that's a fair target.
That's Monday.
Yep. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. But Trump signed an XO against CBDCs. You're good. Don't worry. It's all fine. It's all going to be fine, folks.
Nothing to see here. Please disperse.
Disperse. Get out. So, yeah.
86 the area.
86 stablecoin. But yes, I think that concludes our. I think we have anything else.
Well, you people in Colorado should never ever tell anybody how to run DC again because you can't fix your backyard. That's what I was putting in here. I got plenty of Colorado insiders. We know how to fix DC. You can't fix Denver.
Can't fix Colorado.
Misgendering is now a crime in Colorado. Gay General Jared Polis signed HB 1312 into law Friday. That's last Friday. China's launched drone mothership. Yay.
Oh, that thing is a joke. China always comes out with these things. They're like, oh, they had a missile firing firefighter truck they never came out with.
Oh,
They always
yeah.
come out with stuff. So, I mean, also imagine that with just one, they could fry that pretty easy. It's crazy how they try to do that.
And the other day to take it down past, started, I guess, in Brandon's time. Anyway, it finally got down here just the other Tuesday, Wednesday. Yep. Now, it's protect victims of digital exploitation. All good. We don't want any of that to happen. It's holds internet platforms accountable for non-consensual images posted online. Biden followed to allow children exposed. Anyways, I'm going with, that's not it's not a power of the federal government to regulate. Now, again, we want daddy to regulate everything. Be happy when it's everything, literally.
Yeah.
Your buying habits, everything. That's which is coming.
Yep.
But everyone wants to say, look, DC, you could have done that at the state level. You could have banned stuff there. You could have prisoned. You could have did things to people that broke crimes like that. But no, you want DC to run your life from cradle to grave.
Just easier that way. That's all. Just easier that way.
But it feels good. It sounds good. So we like it. We want that. And it was good. And people fight. Steve, do you want that? Do you want it done by people like the people that are in charge? Say you love these guys in charge. They're still lying through their teeth. They're immoral. And they're doing things that you stick your head in the sand on. Wait till the next guy gets involved. Yeah. No one thinks, you guys don't think 4 years out, 5 years out, what's the next group going to do with this power? Great.
Oh, Steve, they've already convinced themselves that Vance is going to win the next 2 terms. And so they're going to be MAGAs. And then don't worry, after Vance, Rubio's going to run and Rubio's going to win. And then it's going to be next 16 years or 20 years. Yeah, there's never going to be another Democrat ever again, Steve.
No. Then they say that every time someone else wins, there's never going to be another Republican, never going to be another Democrat. Yep. What happens? There's always another one.
There's always another one seems to magically pop up. But which is why you just got to take care of yourself, take care of your family, kind of box out the noise as much as possible. Stay in a state of grace. Don't fall for trivial stuff. Don't chase stupid things. I'm going to throw out, this isn't even a cry room, but I'm going to throw some shade at Catholic Twitter. You guys literally spent a day whining and crapping about JD Vance didn't kneel to kiss the papal ring when he met the Pope. I bet JD Vance doesn't even know that. I bet you JD Vance has never even heard of that. He's been converted for like 20 minutes. And you guys are like, if I was there, I would have gotten on 2 knees and kissed the ring for 55 seconds and made the sign of the cross. You know what? Congratulations. When you meet the Pope, You do it. But outside of that, shut up. Just shut up with this.
It's actually my cry room.
Oh, sorry. Well, you know what? I'll say something else. Everybody now, and this was something we talked about earlier in the week. I talked about it on my show. Catholic Life Site, Steve Bannon, everybody's demanding the Pope needs to tell us about the China deal immediately, right now. That's just day one stuff. First of all, he can't do anything because Francis signed it over in 2024 for another 4 years. So even if he told you he's got a deadlocked agreement, he's not going to do that and piss off. Sorry, I didn't mean to cross to upset the Chinese. Secondly, this isn't the presidency. He doesn't have to react to what you guys do. You guys should stop worrying about who he appoints or what he's doing right now when the IVF bill is about to get passed. And I beg all of you to say something, and you guys can't be bothered because you'll criticize the Holy Father, but you won't say anything about Donald Trump. Think about that. Just think about that for a moment. You guys are way too busy going after the Holy Father who's been there not even a month, and yet Trump is steamrolling stuff left and right, and you guys can't take your MAGA hat off for 5 seconds.
And they lose their position in life if they.
I'm sorry,
Leo's not going to do anything to them. Trump will make them unemployed and flip it at Burger King.
Yeah.
Where was it going? Where was you going with that? Oh, somebody mentioned that the other day about updated North Carolina housing. It's getting worse.
It's not going well.
There's less land grabs, they're out of money, all that stuff.
Yeah.
The kicker is the houses they moved into for last year, they're now being proposed to buy those homes. But the kicker is they have to find a way to move those homes to their property, which has been condemned by the local government that they can't put anything there anymore. So people are going, I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, they're living in these kind of like a big trailer. Essentially, it's a trailer, but they are being told they have to pay to move from that. So there's your update. And
yeah, there's the update on that. I don't know whether to take this as a compliment or a negative. I'm going to take it as a compliment. So you're welcome. I've never been called that, but that's a little weird. I don't have kids, but thank you. It's just okay. Yeah, great. Sorry for stealing your cry room. Mea culpa. I know I get mad when you take mine.
I'm going a different route with it though.
Okay. Well, okay. You can go with a different route. So I'll let you go first then, since I stomped all over your stuff.
All right. So the breaking news, my cry room will be JD Vance.
Okay. So I am a Catholic. I believe that he, meaning Pope Leo, is actually the shepherd of 1.4 billion Catholics. And so there are things like bowing before him, kissing the ring, that are signs of respect for a spiritual father. Okay. But on the world stage, I'm not there as JD Vance, a Catholic parishioner. I'm there as the Vice President of the United States and the leader of the President's delegation to the Pope's inaugural Mass. And so, it was interesting. Some of the protocols about how I respond to the Holy Father were much different than how I might respond to the Holy Father. How might you might respond to the Holy Father purely in your capacity as a citizen. And so that's just like one very concrete observation about the tensions.
Is there action?
He goes into a little bit more. I think it's a weak excuse because it's the Americanism idea. I mean, JFK did the same thing. Him and his sister visited Paul VI. You see Kennedy shaking, and you see his sister reverencing the ring, and his excuse was because I'm head of state. Which you see the what's her face from Italy and the King of Spain, they both reverence the ring. So it's just American thing. I mean, the people they're probably looking at the backlash they would get for a U.S. politician to bow before the Romans, the papists. You can't have that because, like Kennedy at the Baptist convention, saying, basically, I'm American first. I'm not Catholic first. I'm going to judge my Catholic stuff.
Speech. I think that was in Houston, right?
The Houston speech to the Baptist. Yeah. On the other side, you got Garcia Moreno, who literally wrote Pius IX, and they had correspondence during his entire presidency in Ecuador. And Leo XIII called him the epitome of Catholic government. The other side is we got Catholics who we got to make sure we don't show our Catholicism in there because we're going to be scared. I call that a weak excuse by JD. I get what you're talking about, though. Because somebody wrote something about we can't wait for another crusade, and I said something like, "You won't get the men involved because they talk a big game because they're keyboard warriors. You'll find them when you can follow the track of their urine to their hiding spot because they will never get involved in a fight like that ever because it's just type stuff. So I get what you mean. In the heat of the moment, they might screw up. They kiss the wrong hand, maybe bend the wrong knees, something like that. I don't know, but I just personally think that was a weak excuse by JD. And I got somebody telling me I can't believe I sided with Zelensky on this. I'm like, I'm not saying Zelensky's a good dude, but the gift, which is better? You got Zelensky brings an icon and whatever. I guess that's the icon in there, where he gives him a book, and JD brings him a football jersey.
That's so American. That's so American. I'm from America, land of the Whopper. Here you go, buddy.
First off, if he's from Chicago and is a Bears fan, I think he's got a Buckets jersey. If he's been to the White Sox game, he's probably been to a Bears game before. Yeah. And I think his Gale Sayers jersey is going to be more significant than the Leo the 14th jersey. And knowing anybody as a sports fan, you hate. I never wanted my own name on. I wanted the guy the jersey I had that you grew up playing, grew up watching. That means something. Let me put my own name in the back. No, it's like the White House stuff. I just thought it was all these kind of weak and just give them. Well, anyways, but saying of the week. Well, I guess the saying of the week. Anyway, it comes up that story that we had last week about Washington State.
Meanwhile, a new Washington state law could put Catholic priests in a tough position when it comes to confessionals.
Crazy.
Washington's legislature just passed a new law which requires clergy to report cases of child abuse or neglect that they discovered during confession. Governor Ferguson signed that bill into law on May 2nd. It goes into effect on August 27th. However, the Roman Catholic Church requires its clergy to keep everything it said in a confessional booth secret under threat of excommunication. The Archdiocese of Seattle released a statement in response to this new law, saying in part, quote, "The Archdiocese of Seattle remains committed to reporting child sexual abuse, working with victim survivors towards healing, and protecting all minors and vulnerable people. Our policies already require priests to be mandatory reporters, but not if that information is obtained during confession." Church leaders argue this new law is a violation of the First Amendment and a violation of church law. The Department of Justice agrees, calling the law anti-Catholic, and it says it will be investigating this law to see if it does in fact violate the U.S. Constitution.
Good. It's good for the bishop to bring that up, to say that he should be actually going after the governor of Washington State. Also, there goes the 14th Amendment in there. If he caught that, he go in violation of the First Amendment. No, that's Congress shall not do to the states. That was a state law of Washington. Good grief. I can't believe how stupid we are on this.
If the Washington Constitution, a lot of those constitutions mirror the U.S., if it has something that's kind of phrased the same way, bingo, now you've got them dead to rights.
And it does. We showed it last time I pulled that Washington State Constitution. I think it was section 11.
Yep. So you got them dead to rights.
Was that defined? Done.
Yep. That's it.
But if you play that game Russian roulette with DC, you may lose.
Or you may win, and then when the next guy comes in, that precedent will be used against you.
That's true, too.
It's even worse.
That's funny. What Brick said was funny, because I think I text Rick up about it. I go, it looked like JD came up saying, "Hey, bud, how you doing? Congrats on your election. You want to go get a drink or something out." It's so non-formal, and it's it didn't look like you walk up somebody I walked up the bishop. I was kind of like at butterflies. Here we had new bishop. I walk up and I didn't know what to say. I'm like, "Your Excellency, how you doing? Here's a couple books. Have a great day."
Yeah. Bye. He turned to Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I don't do my hands right now.
I mean, yeah.
I could imagine what the Pope would be like. Holy crap. First be like, would be like Forrest Gump. I need to pee.
Yeah. I gotta go.
No, seriously. I don't know if I could handle it. Be like the nervousness to just meet.
I would be the guy. I'd be like left, right, left. Sorry.
Where's the ring?
Yeah. I grabbed the wrong hand.
Or you walk off. Oh no, I got it in my hand.
Right? Can I just have both hands so I can look? Okay, it's this one.
I tried letting go, but I took the ring with me. I didn't mean it.
Right. Turned into Frodo. I got the one ring now. I'm running out of the Vatican with
You got
it.
the Swiss guards chasing you down. What happened? I didn't mean to do it.
Oh, they wouldn't ask. Those guys don't play around. Even the ones in the funny outfits, they would beat you mercilessly.
What happened to that guy, Ricky?
Yeah. He didn't know. He didn't know. No ticket. But but I didn't know that. I guess JD Vance was told after, like, oh, you got to kiss the ringer. I honestly don't think he knew.
No, he said he wasn't going to do it because he was there for a head of state. That's not.
I'm 100%. That's a weak excuse. If he's like, because the head of state. No. Other presidents and kings were doing it. The King of Spain did it.
King of Spain got dressed up way better than JD did, and he was a full regalia and did it.
Yep. So
he flew out. Just what is this? Ain't the 1700s, 1800s when you got anti-Catholic know-nothings going around saying, "Oh, the Pope's going to take over the states and all that." No one's going to care. Just do it. But then you do that, and then you go, "Well, you kiss Bibi's butt. I mean, you bend over and kiss his ring. You got Trump, doing whatever, but you don't want to do that to the Holy
Pope?
Father. Come on."
Yeah.
I almost said that, Patrick. Just
come on, man, grow a pair.
Seriously, that was an easy thing to do. And there were some Catholics going like, it's not a big. It is a big deal. That's in the sense of he knew it and didn't do it. Now, if it was what you said before that he didn't know, totally okay. Maybe he didn't know. No, he knew.
He knew. Okay, well then I take back what I said before. Right? He knew and he chose not to do it. That's I actually think it's more disrespectful.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be spending days talking about it over here, but the fact that he
do it once and move on. But
I'm not a fan of choosing not to do it because of one thing or another, because America, blah blah blah.
Eisenhower even bowed. I think it was Paul the 12th, I think, but there's a picture of Eisenhower bowing.
Yeah.
No, it was I think it was John 23rd. But JFK didn't reverence the ring, but his sister right next to him did, because same reason. He's head of state, she wasn't, so she did it.
Yeah. So it's a good call. That's a good call on that whole thing. So that was your cry room. What about your saint?
Oh, the bishop for standing fast with the.
Oh, you already. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. It's completely. It's past Rick's bedtime. So I'm shutting down as we speak.
We're all there.
Well, Steve's gonna be up for another 4 hours, but it's okay.
Highly likely.
He actually does work. I just sit here and scroll on Instagram. Because that's kind of the person I am. So my Saints of the Week is actually going to be an ironic one. It's going to be Bob Iger and Disney, who actually went to The View and did the most man thing ever. He said, y'all need to calm down. Y'all need to actually stop every day. Because first of all, you don't know what you're talking about, and we have to issue retractions. And Trump's suing another network for constantly spamming him. So can you just shut up for 5 seconds? And of course, they were all like, what are you talking about? We're super smart. He's like, yeah, you're super smart. Stop doing it. I'm not giving. I'll give Iger. He's CYAing himself, but at least he's doing it. Better late than never. And I just think it's funny that he went to a bunch of a gaggle of chickens and was like, y'all just need to calm down and just stop talking. And of course, they didn't take it well, but I'll give him credit where credit is due. My cry room, South Carolina's own Nancy Mace. Steve knew this was coming. Nancy Mace is going to show her naked body to the Congress. And all the gooners were like, oh my goodness. Spoiler alert, she didn't. And then she went on Steve Crowder's show the next day, and Crowder did not even press her hard on the subject, and she folded like a cheap suit, where he was like, what do you mean? I actually have the video still. just check out this exchange between Nancy Mace and Crowder. And once again, Crowder does not push hard on this, and she folds really quick.
I have a son and I have a daughter. My fears are the same. My fears for my daughter are the same as your fears for your daughter. My fears for my son are the same as your fears for your son. I've had to have very frank conversations with my son about false allegations, because that is a problem. And the women that come forward and make false claims do a great disservice to real victims when they come after or come later, because women aren't believed generally. And so that's tough. And so that has to be, you have to tamp down.
Well, hold on a second. That sounds like covert women are very much believed. I mean, we have example after example in the Me Too era. The problem was the proliferation of false.
They are not. Democrats don't believe women. So
No. That's the opposite. Aziz Ansari had a bad date, for crying out loud. I mean, you look at a guy like Chris Hardwick. He's a Democrat. I was in defending people. I'm going, well, this is not the same as rape. You went over to his hotel room at 2 a.m. There are plenty of sex out there. Mattress Girl, the guy at Columbia, never got to go to graduation, and it turns out she was sexually assaulting him. So I would disagree with that premise that women are not believed.
She should be charged with a crime and should face jail time. Women that do that,
sure.
And this whole, if you have time, go on Rumble and watch Crowder's entire interview. It's just time after time. Really, she's using this to launch her platform to run for governor. She's using this as a big thing to run for governor. I think in 26, is that when your governor election is, Steve? Mm-hmm. And she's running against the attorney general, and she's using this against the attorney general, showing that, oh, he's not tough on crime like I am, and all of these other kinds of things. So once again, every time Nancy Mace makes a boo-boo, I got to call out Steve and the state of South Carolina, just because
jail time.
Because you guys will trash me when Ted Cruz shows up, obviously, or Hot Wheels or any of those other guys. So it's one for another.
Here's a video of Kennedy
shaking the hands.
Yeah, so I'm shake the hand. And here's his notice as a visiting head of state.
Okay. And of course, I mean, there's also the problems with, is that Paul VI, that one?
That was 6, yeah, Paul VI.
He was the one who got rid of the papal tiara, correct? And
yes,
he was the one who gave up the papal tiara. He's the one who kind of relaxed the rules around meeting the papacy. So, hand in hand, you could say, those two kind of working together on that one. I still don't excuse it. I'm just saying that it kind of worked out perfectly for them in that regard. Listen, I am fully in. I actually brought it up last week that I thought it was great that Pope Leo XIV, is not shunning people kissing the ring like Francis was. So at least that's being brought back. I think it should be done. I've kissed the hands of traditional Latin Mass priests, even when they didn't want it. So I'm not against it. I just think Catholic Twitter's reaction is once again pathetic when there are more pressing needs here at home that their voices should be used for. That's my thing, is that the IVF thing needs to be addressed. It needs to be brought up. It needs to be talked about now, but we're too busy talking about trivial matters. So that was my big thing about that. If the IVF bill didn't come up, talk about whatever you want. Obviously talk about whatever you want to talk about anyway, but yeah.
I get you. I feel you.
Yeah. That's all I've got to say about that, Steve. So anyway, that's it for this episode of News from the View. Please like, subscribe, and share the News from the View. We'll talk to you all next week. God bless, and then Viva Cristo Rey.